time for another plushie. And this one is not a commission this time. Today I'll be making a doll based off of San Diego Comic-Con Voltageous Frankie. I immediately fell in love with their design when they first got revealed, and I wanted them so bad. And to this day, I am still salty that the scalpers used those stupid bots to buy them out and take them away from everybody. Anyways, let's get started with the suit. I started with the torso section and cut out a plain piece of black felt. Now this is where we start getting fancy. That's right, I'm busting out the metallic silver felt, baby! And I'll be using that for the silver starburst on the front of Frankie's suit, as well as pretty much everywhere else. So I started by drawing the starburst on a piece of paper and then cutting it out and using that pattern to cut it out of the silver felt. Which turned out a lot better than I thought it was gonna be, because for some reason, drawing stars has always been a struggle for me. And now I'll be hand sewing it on with this beautiful metallic silver thread. Now could I have machine sewed it? Yes, but was I gonna run the risk of ruining my machine needle by doing that? Absolutely not. Plus, I just like the look of hand stitching better. Anyways, yeah, I want to come back to the star thing because it's so weird and so frustratingly stupid, because I can draw a horse just fine, no problem. But ask me to draw a star without struggling the whole time is like asking me to paint the Sistine Chapel blindfolded while on a pogo stick playing the accordion. Like I said, so frustratingly stupid. And here's the star all sewn on. Already it's starting to look like something. I know the stitches are hard to see, but they're there, trust me. And now for Frankie's iconic suture stitches that are radiating from the starburst, I'll be using this metallic silver embroidery floss. And honestly, the camera is just not doing it justice. It is so much prettier in real life. So starting with the base lines of the stitches, I sketched them out with white Prismacolor pencil where I wanted them to radiate out from the star, and then started chain stitching the metallic silver embroidery floss over top of those lines. And I doubled up on the threads so they would be as visible as possible. And while doing this, I did have to tug at the thread and also detangle it at a few points, because whether it's sewing thread or embroidery floss, metallic thread tends to get a little bit finicky. And so that this video doesn't last a million years, I made a little bit of a photo time lapse. You're gonna see a lot of those in this video because this doll required a lot. And now that the straight lines are done, it's time to do the actual suture stitches. I doubled up on the floss again and just started doing long and short stitches at random intervals until I was happy with how they looked. And I don't know why, but making these little fake stitches was so much fun. But I've always liked stitches as an aesthetic thing anyway, which is probably why I gravitated towards Frankie so much. In case you haven't noticed, I may or may not have a favorite Monster High character, and it may or may not be Frankie. Who am I kidding? It's totally Frankie, with Ghoulia and Abby in a close second. And now for another quick time lapse of me doing all the suture stitches in order to save us some time off camera. It is already looking so good. Ah! And now we add the sparkle. I have had this beautiful silver glitter infused black sequin in my sequin stash forever, and I haven't had a use for it yet until now. I found it in there and I was like, oh my ghoul, this would be perfect for Voltageous Frankie. And you'll see once this process is over that I was absolutely right. And now starts the very long process of me hand beading each individual piece of sequin onto the front of the suit. Not entirely encasing it in the sequin, but scattering it about, and attempting to give it some nice even coverage. Did this process take forever? Yes, but it was absolutely worth it in the end, because Frankie's suit is made of a sparkly confetti dot type of spandex. And what better way to replicate that than with copious amounts of sequin? Just a whole bunch of it. For my mother and I are of the opinion that you can never have too much sparkle, and sparkles make everything better. I was originally going to use an oil spill holographic type black sequin, but then I thought better of it when I saw this sequin that I'm using right now, and I am so glad I did, because just look at that. Not only does it look amazing, but it also matches the monochromatic color palette of the doll. And here is the front suit completely sequined up, and it is gorgeous. Oh my god. I tried moving it around a bit so that you can see the sparkly effect that the glitter has, but again, the camera just simply does not do it justice. And then I went on ahead and made the back part of the torso part of the suit off camera. I just made another piece of black felt and beaded it entirely with a sequin. And now we sew it all together and put it onto the body. Look at that! It looks so cool! And now for the zigzag belt and the zigzag collar trim, I made another pattern out of paper and cut it out of the same metallic silver felt. And to remain accurate to the doll, I did some more hand top stitching with the metallic silver thread. And this is the sewing thread, not the embroidery floss. The sewing thread is just one strand, so it's thinner, and the embroidery floss is made of multiple strands, therefore it is much, much thicker for those that are confused. This clip right here manages to show off the top stitching a lot better than what I did for the star, and it just looks so freaking cool. I'm so glad I did this. After I got the belt and the collar trim attached, the torso section of the bodysuit is officially done and looking fabulous. So now it's time to move on to the legs. Here I have the two pant legs I cut out of the same black felt, and the pant legs also have suture stitches on them, so we're gonna go on ahead and embroider those. Now for the pant leg sutures, I did things a little bit differently. For the baselines, I did not double up on the embroidery floss, but instead just used a single. And this is because since this is a smaller surface area of fabric, you don't really need to double up on the embroidery thread in order to make them visible. And if I did double up on the thread, it would look kind of bulky. And again, here is a nice photo time-lapse of that progress. I know they look a little finite in this picture, but you gotta trust the process. Now for the actual suture stitches, I did double up on the embroidery thread because I wanted the stitches to be more visible than the lines. And here is another photo time lapse. The stitches definitely make it a lot better. And now we repeat the same process that we did on the torso part of the suit and add on that sequin, which was another long process, but you know what? I was binge watching Halloween Wars with my granny to help pass the time, and it really wasn't all that bad. Is anybody else a Halloween Wars fan? Sound off in the comments. Also, is it just me, or has it really gone downhill in the past 2 seasons? Is that just me? I just feel like it's not the same anymore. It's just not as fun. And another photo time lapse of the progress to save us some time. And voila! They are all stitched and beaded. However, they are not done yet because they are missing their trim. So I cut out another pattern I made out of paper and created the silver trim out of the silver metallic felt and hot glued it on to the edge of each pant leg. And once I did that for each pant leg, I also then hand whip stitched them. And then sewed the pant legs onto the doll's legs before I sewed them onto the doll itself. It's just easier for me this way. And now we move on to the shoes. So as you can see, these shoes are made of 2 different colors, the platform being silver and the rest of the boot is black. So I decided to translate that into the shoes by making the backs of the shoes out of the metallic silver felt and the front made out of the black. And here I am adding the black suture stitches that are on the tops of each boot with regular black embroidery thread. I know it's hard to see, and I upped the brightness as much as I could to see if I could get it to show on camera, and this is the best I could do, sorry. And now we move on to the star. Each boot has a silvery blue star on the side with a single lightning bolt coming out of one of the points. And I made that with, guess what? More silver embroidery thread! And I also didn't double up on the thread this time either. This is an even smaller surface area of fabric than the pant legs were, so we still need it to be visible, but we can't have it be too bulky. And it's for that same reason that for the suture stitches around the star, I use the regular silver sewing thread. Because even if I did use just a single strand of the embroidery floss, the shape of the star would have gotten lost amongst all the stitches. And this way the stitches are still visible without having to fight for visibility with the star shape. And the stitches also go all the way down the lightning bolt coming off that one point too. And now that the front part of the shoe is done, it's time to start on the back. I cut out 2 lightning bolt shapes and hot glued one on top of the other. This is for the fake heel of the boot, which we will be attaching to the silver part of the boot that I cut out earlier. Was this necessary? No, but those lightning bolt heels on the boots were just too iconic to leave out. I just couldn't. And so now I am hand sewing the lightning bolt sandwich onto the back of the boot with that silver sewing thread. And here it is all sewn together. Now this is the best I could do with trying to depict what this looks like in real life on camera. I am so salty that I couldn't get this to come across on camera when I was doing the photo shoot for this doll. But there you go. Anyway, then it was just some whip stitching, and then now the doll has her cute little booties. They just look so freaking cute. And now onto the iconic silver tinsel jacket. I didn't want to glue the tinsel directly onto the arms of the doll, so I made some gray sleeves in the same color as the doll's skin so that it would blend in, and I made them a little bit flary, outy, I guess you could call it, to give the jacket a little bit more volume and shape. And I also made a base for the back part of the jacket and sewed it onto the back of the doll. And then I sewed the sleeves onto the arms and the arms onto the doll, and now we can finally start on the actual tinsel part of the jacket, which I will be using real silver tinsel for. I found this by some miracle on Etsy, and it is absolutely perfect. Now to achieve the voluminousness that the tinsel jacket has, we gotta do this in layers. So I unraveled the tinsel and pinned it to the back of the doll and marked with a fabric marker where I wanted it cut, and cut that piece from the rest of the tinsel and used hot glue to seal the ends so that the tinsel didn't start raveling off. And I did this to both of the ends that I cut, on the main piece and the cut piece, so that neither of them raveled. And now to attach our first layer. I pressed the base band of the tinsel into a line of hot glue to where it was almost seeping out of the band to make sure it would stay. And now, I don't know what happened to this footage of me putting on the extra layers, but here is a cut of what the back looks like after it's all done. This is after putting on, I think, 2 or 3 layers and trimming each of them before I put on the next one. And notice how the tinsel got stiffer and less weighty after I cut it. That's what we want. And now for the arms, which is pretty much the same process. You know, putting it around the arm, marking where I want it cut, gluing each end so it doesn't ravel, and then hot gluing it down to where I want to put it on the doll. And I know this part looks weird, but trust me, it looks a whole lot better once I trim it. And it was a lot harder to do because it was wrapped around something and not flat like it was on the back. See, much better. That is the first layer all trimmed up. And if you probably noticed right here, I did not put the fingerless gloves that are on the actual doll onto my doll because they just wouldn't have looked like fingerless gloves. They would have looked like bracelet. Anyways, here is what the second layer of the jacket sleeve looked like after I got it on. But now in order to complete the jacket, we need one final layer. A continuous layer that goes all the way around both arms and across the back. This piece will ensure maximum volume and it will make the entire jacket look like an actual jacket and not a cape and two sleeves. And I attached it the same way I did all the other layers. Hot glue. But now to truly complete the jacket, we gotta add the silver trim that's on the jacket on the actual doll, which also covers up the base bands. So I cut out a couple of strips of that metallic silver felt, added some more of that hand top stitching, and glued it on, which I don't have footage of for some reason. Sorry about that. But now we are in the home stretch, because now it's time to work on the glorious hair. And I normally don't do this method if I don't have to, but I simply could not pass up the opportunity to make their hair out of black and white yarn, as a reference to the Generation 1 Monster High ragdoll plushies, which is what my doll style is based off of, not Coraline. Anyways, learning my lesson from the Catalina plushie, I decided to take a different approach to the hair because that just took way too long last time. I decided to try and make wefts. I cut 4 to 5 strands of white and black yarn and put them all in their own wefts by putting down some hot glue on a silicone mat and then more hot glue on top of those to bond them together and flattening them out with a silicone resin stir stick. And then once the hot glue cooled off, I trimmed off all the excess with a pair of scissors, and there you have it, some wefts. And then I just repeated this process over and over and over again. Did this save me any time? Absolutely not, but it sure made doing Frankie's hair a lot easier at the end of the day. And once I had a good chunk of wefts assembled, I started gluing them to the top of the head. And just like the tinsel jacket, I did this in layers so that the wig cap, the white part of her head, was completely covered. And I didn't want the hot glue parts to be showing, so I glued it upside down so that I could flip the hair back and they would be covered up. And don't worry about this top layer, which I glued in the opposite direction because it'll be covered up by more hair later and also the headband. And once I got both layers on, I trimmed it to the length that I wanted, which I did not film because trying to do it on camera was giving me anxiety. And then I moved on to the front of the hair, which is pretty much the same process except I glued both layers upside down. And once the glue was dry, it was finally time to style the hair, which meant pulling back all of the strands that I glued upside down for the front of the hair, and trying my best to put it back into a high ponytail type thing. And in order to secure it all in the fashion that I wanted, I had to start by actually securing the whole thing in sections. I basically made 3 mini ponytails, one for the center and one on either side, and then assimilate them into one singular ponytail one by one. And there you have it. And I know the doll has an extra 2 ponytails framing the sides of their face, but I added that in later off camera. So for right now, we're going to move on to trimming the ponytail, which I do have footage of because I was a lot more confident in just snipping a big old clump of hair together all in one fell swoop. And see, I told you I made the side ponies off camera, but I did get footage of me trimming them to their appropriate length. But now, the hair requires a finishing touch. And that would be this beautiful silver sequin trim that I'll be using in place of the hair tinsel. And while doing this, every time I cut the trim, I added a bead of hot glue on the ends so that the sequin didn't start unraveling off the string. I decided on the sequin because it was a lot more visible than those tiny thin strands of tinsel that would have just gotten lost in all of the yarn strands. And plus I thought it looked cool. And I was right on both fronts. And now that we have the hair sequin in place, it's time to cover up where we tied all of those ponytails with some more strips of metallic silver felt. And I hot glued them starting from the back where you can't see where the ends are, and wrapped it around each ponytail tie, and then glued it in the center as well onto the tie itself so that it was more secure and it didn't just fall off. And now for the final touch, the headband. I drew out a different zigzag pattern and cut it out of the metallic silver felt, and then cut out the mini lightning bolts that are radiating from the sides. And when hot gluing them together, I made sure to glue them on top of each other in a very specific order so that they would fan out the way that I wanted them to. And then I glued a little circle that I cut out for the bolt that goes over top of them. And now we crown our doll. Each end of the headband is hot glued to Frankie's hair so it's not going to go anywhere. Same goes for the lightning bolt fans. And at long last, San Diego Comic-Con Voltageous Frankie is finally complete. Another very labor-intensive doll that took a fuck ton to do and cleaned out my entire metallic silver felt stash, so I had to get more. But it was totally worth it. I mean, look at this. Just, yes. And cue the glamour shots. I am so relieved that for the most part the silver felt behaved itself and didn't reflect too much so that the doll wasn't overexposed while taking these pictures, but unfortunately that wasn't the case for one singular photo, and that is the back of the boot. The lightning bolt heel is just completely obscured. But as for the rest of them, they're probably the best photos I've taken of one of my dolls. And here is a nice picture of the tinsel jacket from the back, if I lift up her hair, and the sleeves. Oh, it looks so good! And now I gotta ask you guys a question. Now that we have this version of Voltageous Frankie, do you prefer the original Power Ghouls Voltageous Frankie or this one? Let me know in the comments. And I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. And with that, I'll see you guys next time.